9p pancake mix. Now requires no mixing. Seriously.
So then I told him, oh, ha ha ha. We are now in orbit above Byzantium, Captain. I think I'll initiate an unscheduled rest cycle while you're out.
If I spit,
Anti-Cleo's pipe patch. All of the benefits of your pipe, none of the messy cleanup.
Your best find this week. Go.
Sam, have you been washing my clothes?
Affirmative.
Now I look like a banker or a dentist.
Teeth cleaning request processed. Plaque removal with a product trial of Pep You Up.
There's my parents' place. Smell that?
Marilyn, is that you?
Lars,
We certainly didn't expect to see you like this.
And I didn't expect you to renew your marriage contract. But we're all full of surprises today, aren't we? Speaking of surprises, you should meet my new friend. We've been running around the system for a while now, stirring up all sorts of trouble.
Play the ruffian angle some more. You're supposed to help me make an impression.
Anyway, you're probably wondering where I've been all this time.
Not exactly.
The last few years have been a bloody haze. You wouldn't believe the messes we've gotten ourselves into. Right?
Come on, try to get into it a little more.
Marilyn, this really isn't the best time. Perhaps you should go.
I mean, we had other business in Byzantium, so it's not like we went out of our way. But you can't just kick us out. We'll stay as long as we like. And while we're at it, we'll drink your expensive hooch, wear our outside shoes all over your nice floors. Just a second. You had the floors redone with real Terran marble? Since when can you afford that?
That's what we've been trying to tell you, dear, but you must understand, we hadn't heard from you in ages.
We thought you were dead.
I'm not dead. I just never wanted to talk to you again.
I'm afraid the distinction was lost on us, darling.
What did you do?
Why, we did what any grieving parents would do. We collected on your life insurance policy.
And the payouts have been rather, substantial.
You what? Well, now that I'm here, I guess you'll just have to report back that I'm very much alive and kicking.
It's not that simple. For one thing, we'd have to cut back on so many necessities. The neighbors would be sure to notice.
Why did you do that?
We had to explain your disappearance somehow.
We couldn't very well tell people you'd run off to become a miscreant, could we? The neighbors would talk, and not in a good way.
We concocted a story about Celeste Jollycurl designing a pair of 12-inch heels for you.
One of a kind, naturally.
That led to your tragic death when you tripped and broke your neck.
It was quite the story. People were talking about it for weeks.
Not until I get some answers. Couldn't you have at least made up a better story? Something with pirates or raptidons? And what are you gonna do now that we're here?
Yes, about that. We were just about to ask you to, leave.
Quietly, if you don't mind.
Well, we're trying to avoid further embarrassment.
I'm afraid it would cause quite a stir if the neighbors saw you two stomping about.
That's it? You just want us to disappear now?
Marilyn, please.
Don't cause a scene.
Let's just get out of here, Captain. Fine. I'm gone. Forever this time. Captain, got a minute? Can you believe those two? We'd hardly been there a minute and they turned us out like yesterday's garbage. I thought they'd be scandalized. They'd both be sitting there watching one of their vapid aetherwave dramas, and then we'd walk in. Mother would drop her mock apple cider, and the glass would shatter all over their overpriced marble. Father would tear off his glasses and blink open-mouthed. I'd have a great one-liner in the tube. I was thinking either, the leather's fake, but the scars are real. Or, oops, did I just track awesome onto your rug? Yeah, I'm gonna use that one day. Now, getting back to my story. Father would throw his hands up, because this would be just like me, to come back and make a big scene. Then Mother would do the old, "You had us worried sick." Her eyes would be red and she'd have her fist in front of her mouth to stifle a sob. I just didn't want to get booted out of the house I grew up in like that. It's embarrassing, you know. And I've got a reputation to maintain. I'm used to rough situations. Like when someone loads your pistol with blanks and strands you in a Marauder moonbase, or traps you in an airlock with an angry mantis worm. But I want to talk about me now. Unless you mean the kind who'll look out for you to blink so they could swipe your bits. The galaxy's not exactly crawling with those. Anyway, I don't want to sift through this lousy experience for meaningful life lessons. I'm mad, and I want to do something about it. Something like... Wait a second. What if I could get that money? The payouts are already scheduled. What if I could get the money routed to an account of my own? Let's look at this as an advance on my dying eventually. Besides, if anyone deserves to profit off my death, it's me. I could open a new account, designate that account holder as a sole beneficiary. All the payouts would go to me. I'll make money without doing a thing. And I'll get to cut them off. As long as I don't develop a taste for wool gonzola and bad legal dramas, that's fine by me. My policy is with the Greater Halcyon Insurance Group. They have an office in Byzantium. Maybe you could use some of your people skills to help me set up a dummy beneficiary account. If that doesn't work, I'm sure we can find one of their terminals and do it ourselves. Something on your mind? Okay, see you around. Something on your mind? Where are we headed?
Wouldn't it be something to see an Earth assault cruiser?
I guess.
can't something exciting happen around here for once?
If you stop in the engine room, would you ask Parvati to send Sam down to the bridge? We're now in orbit above Fallbrook, Captain.
Always imagined Fallbrook would be...
Cleaner? Fancier?
This looks like the place.
I see you're still in one piece. However, you never know when that could change. Consider our accidentally torn into tiny fragments coverage. Note that all of your fragments must be recovered and must be smaller than a standard bit cartridge for the payouts to kick in. We're not on Monarch. For all practical and tax-related purposes, this office is an official enclave of Byzantium. Legally speaking, corporations are not allowed to operate on Monarch, but financially speaking, there are certain costs to running a business from within Byzantium's walls. So while our official address is in the city, and while our office here is technically an extension of that address, we found it more expedient to conduct our key operations here. So we can... what's the phrase? Pass savings to the consumer, of course. We prefer to think of it as chasing the savings. Turns out that not having to pay kickbacks, fines, and rent in the most expensive city in Halcyon improves our liquidity. Plus, Sublight keeps this place running remarkably well, and they sure drive business our direction. Plenty. As my boss likes to say, there's a policy for every situation and an exclusion for every policy. We've insured unusually expressive eyebrows, outrageous statements, disastrous marriages. Usually character actors, or corporate execs with menacing stares. That policy is almost exclusively for our corporate clientele. In the unlikely event they make a claim about a product that turns out to be less than accurate, they need some kind of protection against the damage to their sales and reputation. Those are mostly for top-rungers in Byzantium who have a lot of social and financial capital wrapped up in their marriage contracts. There's one for your beloved eloping with your sibling, your beloved eloping with their sibling, scandalous rumors forcing you apart, the revelation of a secret love child. We try to cover every possible hazard to domestic bliss. One thing's for sure, you won't find better policy protection against sudden lunar implosions anywhere in Halcyon. I remember that one. That's the young socialite who broke her neck, right?
Of course, no one remembers me for the marauders I've killed or the bits I've stolen. Typical.
That claim was airtight. Our best investigators couldn't find an exclusion for that one.
Are you serious?
Well, we interviewed the parents extensively. They had plenty of awkward childhood stories that illustrated their daughter's clumsiness and capriciousness.
Hey, those are entirely made up.
Furthermore, the claim spurred a whole line of fashion-related policies. It's become a very lucrative market. You can't, of course. Only Miss Fenhill can assign her beneficiaries. And she's dead. If we let every friend, relative, and acquaintance change a policy like that, people would do it all the time. Imagine the paperwork. Of course she is. The paperwork says so.
I like to think she's dead in spirit, but technically, legally, and regretfully, I'm still Marilyn Fenhill.
That's impossible. By all accounts, she was an elegant and classy woman with impossibly fine bone structure. That couldn't possibly be you.
That's gotta be the nicest thing anyone's said to me in a long while.
Oh, you mean hypothetically? Well, hypothetically, you'd access the terminal in the back room that contains data on all our policies. And you'd, theoretically, add the beneficiary of your choice. But you wouldn't actually do that, of course. That would be fraud. I think you have something in your eye. Perhaps I can interest you in our ocular abnormality coverage. I'm forbidden from accepting bribes, no matter how tempting. The employee handbook doesn't say anything about that. Very well. I'll need the name of the new beneficiary.
Ellie Fenhill?
If you say so. The payouts will flow exclusively into the new account at the start of the month. I hope Ms. Fenhill enjoys her newfound prosperity.
Can we talk? You really did it. Give these payouts a few years and I'll be rolling in it. I've never been prouder to stand back and watch someone else work. I'm just glad my folks aren't gonna live off that awful story they made up. Maybe now they'll have to go back to real jobs. Come on, I thought we were celebrating. You want me to think about the future? If only you could have been my chief surgeon back in the day. Anyway, enough of that. You did a job for me, so here's your fee. Don't make it weird. Even you've got to be in it for the money now and then. Why else would you go through all this trouble? it meant we get used to the smell of each other's dirty socks. But you really do see a rosier version of things, huh? You don't have to get all mushy about it. Still, maybe you've got a point. Maybe it's good to watch someone's back now and then so that one day they watch yours. So, you just keep the money. One of us has to look out for your interests. It's nothing personal. It's just the closest thing I've got to a code. Anyway, enough of the touchy-feelies, huh? Something on your mind?